Say this right now because I want to clear the air on this one too, and I really don't mean to get Emery Smith in any trouble, but Emery Smith told me and several other people that David Wilcock told him in late 2018 that he and Corey had been making it all up for at least a year to a year and a half. I say to you and to everybody, if they're going to make it up in all of 2018, then they're making it up for 2017, 2016, 2015.
Tonight, we're going to go ahead and take a look and react to this interview with the lead content producer of Gaia, who came out and finally gave the truth against Corey Goode and David Wilcock. And you could say Jordan Sather also. Thanks, Derek. Appreciate you. This is actually pretty massive, but then again, I do think that there are a few things that was said in the interview that I think are true, but I think they're being done for some ulterior motives. Don't worry, you'll understand as I go through this. This is pretty big, because this is the thing I've been trying to tell a lot of people for a while about this group. Derek, thanks, dude. Appreciate it. So let's get into this right now. We've got, let's see here, Jay Weidner. Now, you just heard him say this. This is pretty powerful. I'm going to play it one more time.
Say this right now because I want to clear the air on this one too, and I really don't mean to get Emery Smith in any trouble, but Emery Smith told me and several other people that David Wilcock told him in late 2018 that he and Corey had been making it all up for at least a year to a year and a half. I say to you and to everybody, if they're going to make it up in all of 2018, then they're making it up for 2017, 2016, 2015. That's how I feel. Once lied to, they're all.
So before we get into this, I want to make sure that this is content friendly for people who don't know what's going on with this. So give me a minute just to tell people a little bit of a catch up, if you will, okay? So all of us on the internet have ran into people that make giant claims. And in the last 20 years, there's a guy who's infamous for making giant claims named David Wilcock. After many years of him making these claims, he ended up finding a niche following. And entire television networks, one called Gaia TV and others, basically used him to propel themselves into being real studios, as we're going to hear from the content producer at Gaia. Anyway, so let me show you who these people are, but understand, this falls under the same guise as, you know, any giant claim that's made, and then somebody ends up becoming famous from it, and then it all turns out to be fake and done for the sake of money. That's what the core of this story is. And before we had people coming out and exposing the truth about these guys, people like me, and there's a few others out on the internet, Dark Journalist, Joe from the Carolinas, we've been trying to show people that there is hard evidence that this is true, what he's about to say. Now, I'm not going to tell you he's going to give you the full truth, or I'm just going to react to what he says and give you a perspective with everything I've looked into in the last couple years. And I hope we see some other people. Maybe they've already reacted to this. If not, I hope we see like Dark Journalist and Joe's and other people's reaction. And like I said, they could have reacted. I don't know. I've been busy. Jay Weidner is the man talking. And if you go to his bio, searching across the world for signs to mankind's religious decree via ancient societies and artifacts, Weidner is a renowned filmmaker, author, and scholar whose work offers significant insight into the factors that have led to the current ... I'm not going to go into further. You're getting a good sum up, but it says that he's the senior director of content production at Gaia.com. Gaia, one of the, main things used to propel the words of supposed leakers of secret information to the public. Successfully, making good money doing it, I might add. Now, the plot will thicken, so I hope you stick with me through this, because I was doing a little bit of searching after this was sent to me, and I found this. Jay Weidner breaks his silence on Corey Goode. published May 8th of 2019, which is 2 days ago. Nana, thank you. I really appreciate the super chats. They help keep us going. Make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you're members of my channel. And I really appreciate you guys. It's how we do the show. So thank you. Now, this is completely different. This is complete and utter BS. So Weidner, he says a lot of stuff exposing Corey Goode. This was published on May 8th. The next day, Corey Goode goes and grabs an old speech from Weidner when he was working with Corey Goode in 2017, puts it up to try to literally fake out his following. Look at this. This is Corey Goode doing damage control against what Weidner came out and did. Right here. Jay Weidner breaks his silence on Corey Goode. Why is he playing old material from Weidner instead of playing the new material of Weidner? Instead of playing what Weidner's saying now? This is a complete demonstration of why I've been warning you against Corey Goode and David Wilcock and Jordan Sather and all of those guys for the last couple years. They are very propagandistic. They do these very slick, very sly, and completely dishonest and completely scummy things to try their best to hold on to YouTube viewership, because a lot of people stopped sending them money and attending their speeches that they give. They used to make a lot of money going around and giving speeches, right? Telling people about the aliens and the time travel and all the crazy stuff they claim. But when that started to wind down, one of the only things they have left is their YouTube revenue and their YouTube image. So when things like this come out and fully expose them, or at least claim to fully expose them and give a better perspective on what's going on, and have these damning things come out, you have them do this type of propagandistic politician-like damage control. This is not something that an honest individual does. As soon as I started listening to this, I'm like, wait a minute, that's Weidner years ago saying good things about these guys. Completely contrasts and contradicts Weidner now. So let's go ahead and get into this. And I know it's redundant, but I'm going to play that clip one more. Dodger, I love you. I thank you for the PayPal donation. Those help so much right now. Okay. One more time, I'm going to play what I think. I skipped around and found a couple really hot, statements in this interview, and then we're going to go through and react to it. Thank you for being here. Here we go.
Say this right now because I want to clear the air on this one too, and I really don't mean to get Emery Smith in any trouble, but Emery Smith told me and several other people that David Wilcock told him in late 2018 that he and Corey had been making it all up for at least a year to a year and a half. I say to you and to everybody, if they're going to make it up in all of 2018, then they're making it up for 2017, 2016, 2015. That's how I feel. Once lied to, they're always going to lie to you.
Once again, this reminds me a lot of things that have happened lately to expose certain fake other info leakers, like what happened with Jeranism, what happened with Mark Sargent, what happened with Globebusters. Then we've got what happened with Corey Goode a while back, and David Wilcock, and Jordan Sather being exposed a couple weeks ago. Robert David Steele having it exposed that he literally does not even back the Constitution of his own country, and instead writes a Constitution that looks like basically a one world government like map plan for some new thing. This is on that level to an extent. You got to understand that this guy, Weidner, is the guy who helped work with David Wilcock and Corey Goode to make them what they were for at least a period of time. So let's get straight into it. I'm gonna skip through it, of course. So if you want to watch it, this is uploaded to the Jay Weidner Show on YouTube. I would go subscribe. That way you can catch and ring the bell for him. By the way, do that here too, and do it on my new channel, UNIRock Review, if you don't mind. Because that way, if anything else comes out, you're prepared. But listen to me closely. I'm not insulting Mr. Weidner. I'm not insulting Mr. Goode or Mr. Wilcock. Maybe Jordan Sather, I kind of poke at him a little bit. Just kidding. I'm not insulting him either. I'm stating a lot of the things that we hear from these guys are purely political. When you run with opinion, but you make it look like fact and lie to people, you have to use dirty political tactics to succeed. These guys succeeded at one time to make a lot of money doing this. So understand and keep in mind, stay above it all. Stay out of it. Don't get emotionally invested. Do what we always do. Filter it through a logical mind here. Because if you let yourself get caught up on either side of the discussion, the debate, if you get into it on either side emotionally, they're going to end up getting you, okay? So let's go through this with our propaganda filter on. Let's get this pumping. Thank you for the music. I need that song to get started. Here we go.
Hey.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, hanging in there.
Yeah.
I think a bunch of people just flop.
I just want to make sure. Jay Weidner Show on YouTube. I'm going to go ahead and drop the link right now so that my mods can drop the link throughout this. This is not sourced to me. This is sourced to the individuals that recorded it or published it. I don't know who have the rights to this, but whoever has it, it's sourced to them. And I'm listening and reacting under the fair use article, which is a federally mandated law that gives me legal basis to react to this, criticize it in a transformative way, and to provide criticism. Just to be safe, if you need to check that law, it's in the About section.
Popped over as they opened up this video, right? Yes. So here we are. And what a...
Yes, well, I'd like to say something to begin with also, and that is that this is, I guess, a message to really YouTube and the people that run YouTube. Our intention is not to be vindictive here or to run somebody down. We're not going to name anybody's full name that isn't a public.
I'm going to skip through this part. That is not my intention either. My intention is for both sides of every story to be out there. You get me? Too often do we see, by the way, remember that one report for the president website and that whole thing that happened with Your Voice America and Tracy Beans? I'm going to be updating you on that tonight. Stay tuned there because it's the same kind of thing. One-sided to get virality. People have studied us. They look at us as animals. They look at us as insects that they can corral and get. We need to get their clicks and their views and corral them into one little thing so we can get it to get big and get attention. And it's not respectful. It's not right. And that's what these guys do to manipulate us for their financial gain. I'm not stating that he does that. I'm not stating which person does that. But it definitely happens. So let me skip ahead.
With my friends' money that we were losing, I felt really bad about that. And so I kind of scoured my brain to try to figure out how I could turn this startup into a success quickly. And as my fans know, I'm also a big fan of philosophy. And it's one of my favorite philosophers was a professor at University of Toronto, Marshall McLuhan. And he was a professor of media and a philosopher of media. And Marshall was a fascinating guy. And he said that the way you tell a story is as important as the story. This world.
I can attest to that. My main channel can attest to the fact that yes, that is true. Here we go, skipping ahead.
And in 2016, we'd finally become a success, and they brought in other producers, and finally the burden was relieved off of all of us. And we now had like larger crews and real lighting people and real sound people. But we had a curve. There was a curve to all this. We started out really kind of poor. And by end of 2013, we were really hot and heavy, going good, knew what we were doing. We were all working together. We were a great crew. And so in August of 2015, we were at our pinnacle. This group was at its pinnacle for how good it could do work with no money. That's the other thing I'll tell you, we had no money.
Okay.
Gaia still had not turned a profit. We were still losing money at this stage.
I think this is a great perspective because a lot of people don't understand. It's no insult. I think Gaia being successful in bringing this network out to people is a good thing. It really shows that they can target an audience and find a niche and get in there and provide the content that people want to consume. But I do think that in that niche of trying to provide content for spirituality and yoga and all these other things, people like David Wilcock, Corey Goode, and Jordan Sather exploited it so that they could propel their own personal career forward. So, you know, maybe Gaia I've had so many people reach out to me. I even had a viewer, and I thank them a million times, and I want to thank them again. They bought me a subscription to Gaia and sent it to me. And Gaia's a lot different on the inside. It's not what you see when you look at these YouTube scammers. Not saying that he's a YouTube scammer. I don't know much about this guy yet. But I know that Corey Goode, David Wilcock, and Jordan Sather are YouTube scammers. I'm not commenting on what they do off of YouTube. I'm commenting on what they do on it. They are YouTube scammers. And anyway, I think that they all exploited this growing network that found a niche in spirituality, and that's why you see that they combine spirituality into ufology and mystery and conspiracy. You get me? Combine as many groups together. You find small groups, small niche groups out there, and if you get them all combined together and you're the front piece for it, not only are you going to get rich, but you're going to go viral and have a big following.
So, one of our top shows was with David Wilcock, Wisdom Teachings, which was actually a pretty good show. And I've always thought that David's real forte was he should be an alternative journalist for science, or a journalist for alternative science. I think David Wilcock is actually pretty good at that. If
you know what, you guys are going to be shocked and surprised. I agree. If you watch Ancient Aliens, now hear me out. Hold on. If you watch it, but you take away all the crazy, like when they bring up topics and then they'll say that the only excuse has to be aliens, or or they make some big determination, when in reality it could be a lot of things. It's not just that. Anyway, if you take that out of it, it's a great show because they do a good job of bringing you mysterious topics that you don't hear anywhere else. And they show like that. Remember that video I did a few days ago with Easter Island and the Dyatlov Pass? That Dyatlov Pass story I found through Ancient Aliens. Of course, I didn't conclude it was aliens in the end like some of them did. I concluded that we don't know. It's a mystery, and it could have been a whole plethora of things, most likely not supernatural. But I still thought it was such a great thing that you could bring all these awesome stories to people like this. The bad part is when you try to exploit it and try to get that hook in there. For those of you that look at how virality works, you have to have a hook. You got to have, just like a song. The pop songs, they always get that little hook, the repeatable hook that gets caught in your head. That's what they're trying to do when they take those things and then make it into a niche market and try to, throw it out there and exploit it to a bunch of people. I won't go into that, but you get what I'm saying. David could do great things if he wasn't trying to convince everybody of things that just aren't true in such a hardcore way.
Stuck with that, I think his life in the future would be a lot more happy than it's going to be.
There you go. Exactly. Very true.
David Wilcock had a show, and he wanted to have another show because he wanted to earn more income. He wanted twice as much income. He told me straight to my face.
Well, you could kind of get that from his behavior, right? Makes a lot of sense.
Want more income. I said, well, you need to create another show. So
greed. This is greed, It's not easy to battle against greed, especially when you get a little bit of a taste of money, right? It's very hard to fight against it. You do not want to succumb to it, and it's obvious that David did a long time ago.
we tried
And now we have corroboration for
a
that.
show called Disclosure, which actually I thought was pretty good. He interviewed Graham Hancock and Robert.
Yeah, Graham's a great guy. I've interviewed Graham. You know, Graham, if you don't know who Graham is, he's very, very scientific. He's very reality based. He's the guy that showed the Holy Grail on my main channel. And I believe he has the Holy Grail. If you hear his story, I won't go into all that either. Maybe I'll do a video on that this week. That's such a good topic.
And all these great people. It was, I thought, a pretty good show. But he isn't a very good interviewer. And so I kind of...
He's really not. I pride myself on being good at very few things. Interviewing people, I'm hella good at interviewing people. A lot of other stuff, no, I'm not that good at. But when it comes to interviewing people, I'm pretty good.
Constantly train David on how to be a good interviewer. You know, to shut up, one thing. You just have to know when to be quiet. And so he started calling me up in March of 2015, telling me he had a new insider. This was the
2015. There it is. Right now, do you remember the climate on YouTube around that time? YouTube was this open thing, and you found so many good videos on YouTube back in 2015. And the thing is, there weren't as many people trying to, you know, constantly clickbait. There were, but I mean, inside of the community where people were showing all these strange and cool topics, you had a few bad apples, but there was a lot of good channels out there trying to get good stuff out. 2015 was really the end of the golden age, because in 2016, when the entire like political insertion into the whole community, that's when it all ruined. That's when it spoiled. That's when it was purposely destroyed. 2015 was the end of the golden era.
The greatest insider of all time. And that he had spent hours with this guy, thoroughly vetted him, and he wanted the guy to come on and do a practice, a demo, a show. So I said, well, you know, okay, I don't know who this guy is. You know, his name is Corey Goode. That's all I know. I said, okay, we'll fly you in. We'll talk.
Oh, it's getting good. It's getting good. Bizzy, give me some spookier music. It's getting, here we go. Here we go.
Talk to the guy. We'll see what's going on. So Corey Goode and David fly into Boulder, and I interview Corey for maybe 8 hours. And now in retrospect, it was just too perfect. And now, you know, I could kick myself in my ass.
You know, it's so good to hear him say that, because I want to trust this guy a little bit, even though I know he's probably, you know, purposely allowed. Here's what I think. I think a lot of people didn't call out Corey Goode and David Wilcock's bullshit. That's what I think happened. Maybe a lot of people will write to me and attest to me that Gaia is trying their best to put out good content, and yes, some bad apples get through because they charm and they have good charisma and they kind of schmooze through the producers. Now, I don't know if that's true or not. I'm telling you, that's the majority of the response I get from people. Of course, I get a lot of people like F Gaia, and then I get a lot of people saying the opposite. No, Gaia is a good content delivery platform. The problem is that these bad apples charm their way through. It almost sounds like that here. I'm just vocalizing my experience.
It was so perfect. It was, you know, my passion, which I have thousands of hours of YouTubes that I didn't put up, other people put up.
You could tell, because if you say YouTubes, if you pluralize the word YouTube, it typically means you don't really YouTubes too much, but I'm not going to give him too much hell there.
But you can see that I have a passion for the Secret Space program, a passion for alchemy, a passion for, I wrote a book about the cross of Henday predicting a solar flash. And he was relaying this information, and it was all confirming all this stuff that I knew. So I made the intellectual leap and said, this guy must be telling the truth.
Never do that. You can never do that. Once you do that, that's because if he's telling the truth, it's good that you did that. If he's telling the truth, but we all know he's not. He's been exposed by now, and he's getting further exposed now. But here's the deal: if he is schmoozing you, if this guy, because it's highly possible that you had one of two things happen. One, Corey Goode was telling the truth and approached David Wilcock. David Wilcock brought him to this guy Jay and got him on. Or it could be Corey said to himself, "I'm flat broke. I watched the hell out of all these guys' stuff. I could give a damn good, I'm a good liar, so I could really convince them to let me be a good leaker. All I got to do is keep my head in the game and schmooze these guys. So at that very moment, when you made that intellectual leap, in my opinion, that's when Corey Goode knew he had you wrapped around his little finger, and that's why this has happened. And because of this, let me go ahead and explain this. Regardless of what you or I think of any YouTube channel or network of content production now, Corey Goode and David Wilcock doing what they did at Gaia and then after Gaia completely destroyed the reputation of Gaia for a lot of people. Now a lot of people still like it, but a lot of people lost their faith in everything because of that. Just so you're caught up and you know what's up.
Because he knows about he doesn't know about the cross of Henday, but he knows about the solar flash. Nobody knows about the solar flash but me and a few other people. And so I accepted him in, and I gave it my recommendation. I did not choose shows at Gaia. I could only recommend. Okay. And so through the original programming committee, and they approved a show, a brief show, maybe I think we did 16, we were going to shoot 16 episodes of it. I think it was that, yeah, 16 in 1 week. It was amazingly hard. And so we sat down with Corey and we started shooting, and he was a mess. I mean a mess. The worst, most mess person I've ever worked with.
So it makes sense. Maybe he is trying to come up in here and get himself put on an already established network to try to propel him further. Maybe he doesn't know what he's getting into. Maybe he doesn't know really, you know, that's when you hear him talk in some of his early interviews and early shows, that's exactly how it feels. Just feels like he's a big fucking mess. Really big, like, schmoozer. Somebody who's just saying things to try and appease the people listening, not someone telling the truth, you know?
He had to have fans on in between takes. He was sweating. He would constantly have makeup going in and mopping his brow. And
really?
He was, stuttering.
A little nervous there, huh?
Hands were shaking. And I asked him what was wrong. He said he was on some kind of drug.
No, dude, I wish I would have said it. I was going to say it. Probably withdrawing or something. There it is, too. Now, I don't want to harp on that too much because, you know, I'm just not going to go down that road with this. But that actually adds into this thing too. If this dude's desperate for money for some reason, well, is that a reason why he's desperate for money? God only knows, but the pieces are starting to fit together.
The doctor had given him for a nervous condition. Hey, I got it. You know, I let it go at that. Anyway, we shot the 16 shows, and for some reason, Gaia's marketing department, which had never gotten behind anything I'd ever done, suddenly decides to get behind Corey. I have no idea why, if it came from up top or wherever. All of a sudden, Corey was being advertised all over the...
Oh, yeah. I bet it came from up top.
...place, on Drudge Report, and my God, it was everywhere for like I would say 6 months. And so that meant we had to do more shows, so we started commissioning more shows, and here's where things got kind of weird.
Okay.
Uh-oh.
Corey had a set narrative that he came in with. Mm-hmm. But that narrative started draining out at about 16 to 20 episodes.
Oh, of course. You can only make up so much stuff, right? I mean, you can't force a story. You can't take a little bit of data and extend it, you know, over and over. There you go. That's why it became easy to expose Corey Goode. Because, yeah, they worked hard to get this original story out. But then I think Corey, in the need for appeasing the show and getting more things out, most likely just started making stuff up, because that's what I've said in the past, reacting to some of his material.
He couldn't stretch it any further. It was becoming a strain on him physically. And several times Corey would pull me aside and he'd say, you know, Jay, I know you don't believe me. And I say, Corey, it's not my job to believe you. My job is to make you look good.
So many fucking, like, wow moments. So many wow moments here.
But that narrative started draining out at about 16 to 20 episodes. He couldn't stretch it any further. It was becoming a strain on him physically. And several times Corey would pull me aside and he'd say, you know, Jay, I know you don't believe me. And I'd say, Corey, it's not my job to believe you. My job is to make you look good.
And when was this about?
This was right after, a couple months.
Okay.
And not really. I didn't believe a lot of people that came through Gaia. I mean, there's a lot of people that would come through. We had people that come through. The world's going to end in December. You know, they'd say, well, Jay, this whack job said the world's going to end in December. What do you want to do? I said, run the show. Let him be wrong, right? Mm-hmm. And we run the show, and the world wouldn't end. And
I can respect that to an extent. I play people all the time on this show who are constantly wrong about things.
The guy was wrong and his career was crushed, right? So I believe that letting people speak, I'm not here to tell them what to do. I'm here to tell them what's palatable for the camera, right? How to act in front of the camera. And I have to admit, I'm going to admit this, I'm the one that directed Corey to be humble and quiet.
Ooh.
And that was the biggest mistake.
See, and do you hear him sigh like that? It's almost like he feels good getting it off his chest. And Jay, I'm glad you feel good getting it off your chest. Tell the truth. I've been begging for people to come out against these guys. They have damaged, they have torn, they have ripped apart a lot of people's conception of what's real and what's not, because they're so desperate to continue giving shocking information, and they've gone so far creating lie after lie after lie. It's compounded. The people that believe them are the ones I feel sorry for still, because they got like attached to those guys and they started to believe them, and now they sit and fund them and follow them around and they admire them, and it's like you're being manipulated, you're being lied to, you're being called into a cult. So I'm so glad that Jay said these things.
I made, because
so
that's
good.
what sold it more than anything else. And so I am apologizing. I'm apologizing.
I forgive you. I'm going to say it straight out. I've said this a million times. The people who come out and can... You know what Jay just became? Jay just became a whistleblower. The thing that Corey Goode approached him years ago and said that he was, and lied to him, right? And took all of this craziness and threw it out there and just... used all these crazy propagandistic methods to get... This is Corey's response, if for anyone that just showed up. Corey's response to the content producer at Gaia coming out and exposing him is to upload an old statement that Jay made about Corey back then from 2017. So Jay Weidner breaks his silence on Corey Goode. What he's doing is, any of his followers, any of Corey's followers that find out that Jay came out and busted his ass, they're going to go search on YouTube. Jay Weidner, break silence on Goode, exposes Goode. And he wants those followers to find this video, listen to it like, wait, well, all the rumors I heard must be false. Jay must have said good things about Mr. Goode. You get me? Instead of finding Jay's video where Jay tells the truth on Goode. This is such a propagandistic technique that Corey Goode has used. It's such a blatant bullshit thing that he's done to try to dupe his followers and to mitigate damage. It's ridiculous. He's got 2,000 damn upvotes on this. He got 24,000 views on this, and Jay only has 6,000 views on his with 200 upvotes. It's ridiculous, man.
Weirdly for doing...
But this is how Corey Goode, this is how you know Corey Goode's a liar. This is how he does all these things that any honest person just doesn't damn do.
Too good a job on him. I'm also apologizing for giving him directions that make him more believable.
And I'm glad, Jay. Look, apologize for this, undo the damage, go on shows, get the truth out about... Because Corey Goode can divert some people by doing that thing I just showed you. But if a lot of people start covering this... It's not... Corey's going to lose his power. This is what needs to get out. This is the guy who basically brought the world Corey Goode. This is the guy that made Corey Goode viral. It's the guy that got him out there. So how do you respond to this guy coming out and basically saying that it's all fabricated and fake, that it's all a lie, right? How do you do that good? Other than taking compilations of good things he said and tagging it with the something about him exposing you. You get me? We have to get this out there. Content creators need to upload this.
Also apologizing. If you watch those first 40 episodes, and if you know anything about filmmaking, you'll see they're heavily edited, more heavily edited than any shows on Gaia. And you have to ask yourself why that is. That's my editing crew trying to make Corey look good and cutting out a lot of stuff that he and
proved that he was lying.
David were saying that really did not make them look very good. And so we massaged the data. We really did. We massaged the data more for Corey and David than for another show we ever did. And I had no idea, first off, that it was going to be such a hit. Number two,
That's how it always happens, too. That's how it always happens. You put out all this work. You never know what's going to get views, and you never know what's not going to. So it's completely understandable. He does all this thinking, 1,000 people are going to see it. 2,000 people are going to see it. Oh, well, we'll just make it the best way we can. We'll take out the stuff these guys did and said that was really stupid. Made him look really bad. He had no clue it was going to go viral. He had no clue.
I don't think Corey has any charisma at all. And I think David's
a
blabbermouth.
He is.
So I don't really think the two of them are actually all that interesting to begin with.
No.
But Corey,
This is the now. So wait. Beep. Pause. So if they're not that interesting, they're obvious liars. Then how the hell have they managed to manipulate so many people? Through the blatant practice of propaganda, being a master of lies and deception.
I had no idea. If I had known that a person that I helped to create, a persona that I helped a lot to create, would then turn that into a cult that seeks to hurt people, that seeks to damage people's lives and reputations like yours and mine, I would have quit the job at that point.
Well, listen, Jay, I will give you a pass. I'm going to give you a pass personally, at least right now, subject for me being able to change my mind as the time goes on in the future. But you got to realize, this is selling out, basically. Not saying this years ago is what allowed these guys to basically, manipulate and latch on to every trend they could. Everything they ever said that the audience, really liked and paid it and grasped onto, these guys would add to and obfuscate and put more stuff out on, and it would all be bullshit. And it's done a lot of damage. And yeah, now that they literally lied and manipulated so much that the damage started to really hurt individual people. You remember the secret Facebook group where Goode is like instructing people to write hit pieces by, the hundreds, and getting these giant troll farms to go around and protect his reputation by demonizing anybody that speaks out against them, right? So yeah, it's nice to come out now. But how about in the future, regardless of how much money we make, how successful you get, how about you just don't fucking allow it? How about you start speaking out when you realize that this liar that you put up on the screen is now, so viral that, so if you go viral with 100,000 views, you might have a cult of 1,000 people or 100 people that really dedicate to you and stick around. These guys went viral with millions of views, so their cult is tens of thousands strong. That's a lot of people. That's a lot of damage. It's a lot of bad karma.
Somebody from the future come to me and said, Jay, you know what's going to happen here? I would have quit. And the good side of this is that because of this, Gaia has changed their ways. And now, just like we had to give Jason Rice a hypnotic session and a lie detector test, and
get that hypnotic session shit out of here. And not one lie detector test. You need to have like 6 independent lie detector tests. I'm not saying for Jason. I'm saying for anyone else that you put up there. It's not worth it anymore. we are now in the era of fake news, to the point where it's literally destroyed the entire communities of great content creators and great groups of people that work together trying to research things and put things out. We are in such an era of deceit and fake news that you cannot add to it anymore. Adding to it at all is like joining the army of the undead and shit,
So it was like, you make the mistake once, bad me. Make the mistake twice, bad you. And so now I don't work at Gaia anymore, so I can talk. But they're not making these mistakes anymore. And I want to apologize to Gaia because I hurt them too. I hurt
Gaia. You did.
So I feel like I let down Gaia also by not being as earnest as I could have been in follow-up. I will say this, about a year, not a year, less than a year, in June of 2016, Corey did something so egregious in a taping that I lost almost all faith in him. And I did warn everybody at that point that Corey was lifting his narrative from outside sources. This stage, the show was such a big hit, and corporations, they have this weird momentum where once they get going in a direction, no matter what you say, you can't stop it. And I went to everybody, all my seniors, all the people that are at the same level with me, and people below me, and said, I warned them. I said, this is going to end up bad. This is good. There's something wrong here. I don't know what it is. There's something not right here. In my mind, I could not talk myself into believing that David Wilcock was as involved in this as I now believe he is.
Oh, he is. David is the mastermind. David, basically, for whatever reason, is bringing these people into the spotlight. He gets to choose, like these guys. So with Corey Goode, if you didn't know, and you're going to hear a little bit of this in a little bit if my notes are correct from Rachel, but David basically, if he finds somebody that he's going to propel out to be a whistleblower or a leaker, if they're not completely dedicated to David's narrative, completely willing to defend David and do everything he says, then he demonizes them and gets them shut out, just like every cult leader. And that's why David and Corey were completely against Jason Rice, when a lot of things that Jason Rice said kind of like helped Corey Goode's story the littlest bit and helped David's story a little more. That's why they had Emery Smith and David and Corey completely trying to get Jason Rice out of the picture. They were so worried that people were going to latch on to him and he'd be the next viral wave, and then it would push the original viral wave out, that they started to attack and put down and troll and pay for Facebook groups to go out and troll and do all those things that we've proven that they did. But in the end, that's David's MO. That's what he does. And I know it sucks to think that way, but that's, we've got a guy where I went back on the Wayback Machine in a video I did a year ago or so and showed you in 1998, he was trying to do this whole thing back then. He tried and tried and tried and tried. He didn't stop until he went viral, basically.
I thought that David was my friend. We spent a lot of hours together, talking, being like buddies. And we really were buddies. We had the same kind of interests. And, I was like his elder, and I would tell him what to do and how to handle things. And he would listen to me. And then, it took me until, I guess, around November 2017 before I finally faced it.
November of 2017. What happened around then, huh?
The fact that either David Wilcock is the most naive person that's ever lived, and I mean that, or he's in on it.
He's in on it. He's in on it. Not only is he in on that, he's in on taking any conspiracy trope that gains any momentum and crafting it, molding it into his own version and spitting it back out and trying to leech onto it. He's a jack of all trades and tries to make the appearance that he's also an expert at all those trades, and trades being conspiracy tropes that just so happen to be the only ones that go viral. He doesn't speak on any type of conspiracy trope that doesn't have momentum behind it. and he's an expert on all of them. At least that's what he'll have you think. That just doesn't exist in the world, I'm sorry to say.
And I haven't reached a conclusion. I'm rolling in one direction, unfortunately, not the direction that David Wilcock or I would like. I'm not going to make any judgments on David yet, not on this. There are other things, though, that David has done which are egregious, and we'll address those as we go on. But he needs to do what I'm doing. He needs to come out and needs to apologize.
He can't. He won't. There's no way. It would completely... If he told the truth, he would have to look in everyone's face and tell them, I've been lying to you since the beginning. There's just no way he could do that. That's one thing that will never happen, Jay. The reason Jay's doing this is because regardless of all the damage he's done, at his core, he is a good person. He wants to fix this before it's too late, and he wants to do his best to try to make up for some of the damage that his role caused. David does not care, Jay. David is that ruthless guy that will literally step on anyone, from his damn best friend to his brother to his cousin to his own, wife. He'll step on anyone if it'll propel him up a little bit. Literally, ruthless businessman. We're talking like corporate. We're talking like the worst businessmen that you've ever heard of. He is of the same breed.
Because he co-created. We're the mother and father of Corey Goode. David Wilcock and I are.
Did you get a sense at any point that in your opinion, at any point, was this a form of grooming an audience into a belief system?
That, and now in retrospect, I used to think Corey was dumb. I gotta admit it.
He is. He's just he's dumb in most things. The only thing he's not dumb in is manipulating people. He's one of those master manipulators. So yeah, exactly. Everything that he presents to you that he's an expert on, or that he has the secret information on, it is a ruse. It's him lying. It's him like putting on a really good illusion for you. So just like Jordan Sather, just like Wilcock.
I thought Corey was dumb, but now I know that was just an act. Corey's actually a very cunning person. And when he was talking to David in March of 2015, he was asking about me. You say, oh, my producer, he's produced a lot of stuff. David was always bragging about me in those days when we were friends. And, my producer, he's made The Last Avatar, and he did this and that, right? And he's done all this stuff. And then Corey clearly went off and probably didn't read my book, because my book's about 10 stories over his head. But he did go and listen to my YouTube interviews, which most of them were pretty good. And so he picked up all of my stuff. And then when he came to see me 3 months later, he was totally groomed into it. He knew exactly what to say to me to get me into his camp. It worked. I got into his camp. I really, truly believed.
Same way that Jordan Sather does, right? Jordan and David and Corey will, go to YouTube, go look at other people's work and research and thoughts and reaction, and they will process everything that they hear out there. Everything they can find that, since they're master manipulators, they know what'll work on people. They know the ideas or the processes that'll work on people. So they listen to everyone else's work, and instead they say, well, this part's boring. That part's really exciting. This part, no one likes that, but damn, that'll really get people. And they pick all those great things and catalog them so that when they're talking, they can spit them back out to people. And that's why I'll use Jordan as an example, just because we have a few debates that Jordan tried to have. Remember when Jordan tried to talk to somebody, type who it was that Jordan debated, I forget. But remember, in that debate, Jordan kept responding like a kindergartner. He was like, "No, you are. No, you. Why don't you? I know you are, but what am I?" You get me? Remember when I did that video, we were all making fun of that fact. Like, this is the real Sather. The guy who can go and watch a bunch of YouTube videos and then sit down in front of his camera, record him what he wants to say, and give it out. He's a different person than the guy when you start talking to him. That's why the dude does it. That he only does interviews that are carefully cultivated, where he can take it where he wants to take it. He doesn't answer questions. He gives these specific narrative responses. You get me?
He was in the secret space program. I no longer believe that anymore.
Good, because it's not true. The David Wilcock, Jordan Sather, Corey Goode secret space program is basically this thing I just described. Going around and listening to people like Norio, listening to people that have, reading every abduction account, reading every witness statement that anyone's ever gotten, going and getting into the pages of Project Blue Book and all the subsequent Majestic and things, pulling from all that, they do this thing I just described to become the expert, to become the and that's their secret space program. It's the amalgamation of all these things, no matter how ridiculous, right? No matter how crazy, no matter how unfounded or unproven, becomes the backbone to their story because they know it'll work and it'll be good. People will react.
Not all. Not even a little bit.
Me either.
I can't decide whether he's Walter Mitty, living as an insurance salesman, but at night he thinks he's a secret agent with beautiful women, dashing secret agent, or if he was sent in on purpose to destroy Gaia and me.
That is highly possible too, because that's what Jordan was doing. That's Jordan's role here on YouTube. So it's very possible that David's role, and that's why they use David to cultivate Jordan onto YouTube. Maybe that is true. All I know is though, no, I'll let him go.
Probably David Wilcock.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Let me interject for 1 second. I'm going to backtrack because
Let him talk, Ruby.
by November 2017, you were thinking this is just not even legitimate information anymore. In the summer of 2017, there was a conference that you spoke at, and the name of your presentation was Secrets of Alchemy. And in that first 5 minutes of that video, you had stated you did 17 hours of vetting that you personally did that led you to a certain belief. So what was that vetting, and how do you feel? What was that vetting, or was that 17 hours a lie?
No, it wasn't a lie. It was
Okay.
it was probably more like 30 hours actually throughout the whole first 6.
I think he already described that, right? Isn't that where he sat down and was talking about how he talked with Good, and maybe that's it. Maybe I'm wrong.
Okay.
Shows that we shot in the 1 week.
Yeah,
we were going out every night having dinner, so I kept it going, trying to catch him off guard, maybe get him a couple beers, and then that's what you do when you're a journalist. You try to get people off guard, then you ask them a question out of
Exactly, just like Sweeney.
the blue. So I was doing that, and he was doing pretty good. He was doing pretty good on those, and it was impressive. He clearly had all of his everything in a nice, neat row. And I did catch a couple things, but not much, anything that would alarm me at first. He had not dial away from the stories, and this guy was like the kind of guy you'd expect to be in the secret space program. He was a shaved head, big shoulders, ex-cop from Seattle, ex-Marine, served I think 2 tours. He had bona fides that Corey never has, right? And so I was like really impressed with this guy because he came off so military-like that he seemed to be, and then he would say things, and I was like, that I knew, and he wasn't trying to BS me because he didn't want to come on the show or anything. So I went over right after that talk, after I gave that speech, and I took Michael Gerlach, and Michael, I hope you aren't offended that I'm using your name, and I introduced him to Corey. Corey had already been introduced, I didn't know that, and Corey, he did something so uncharacteristic, something that was so bizarre that it instantly threw the switch on me. And I just instantly said, this guy is bullshitting. And what it was if you had a guy who claimed to be in Iraq and gone through a whole bunch of hell in Iraq, right, in the war, and then you have another guy who was in the same, area, same, and this guy's kind of lonely, and nobody's verifying anything for him, and everybody's thinking, is this guy telling the truth or not? And you bring this other guy who actually will verify this other guy's truth, and you bring them together, and they shake hands, and you introduce them. What's going to happen? Well, I'm no guy.
They most likely are going to start exchanging stories. They're going to, relate. Okay.
I'm a guy. I know how guys act around other guys. Your first thing you're going to do is, this guy could be bullshitting me. I'm going to find out.
Oh, yeah.
So who ran that battalion? Where did you go? What towns did you defend? I would start questioning and asking, finding out if he's real, right? Then, if he's not real, I'd walk away disgusted. If he was real, he and I would be the best.
Oh, yeah.
buddies you ever met. We would instantly bond because we had so much in common. That was a terrifying ordeal, a traumatic ordeal that we would immediately bond. But what would not happen, what would absolutely not happen is nothing. Nothing. Nothing would indicate there's something wrong here. And Corey shook his hand and turned his back and walked away. Wasn't interested in the...
Okay. Exactly. Let's skip ahead a little bit. Let's see. This is going to be interesting. The next big... I might backtrack back to this spot for a second, but this is one timestamp I've been given. So who made the content? Let's find out. Let's find out where the content came from, where the story came from, where the claims, where, you know, all the stuff about blue avians, all the stuff about the war above our heads, all the stuff about different planets, and being able to reverse people's aging. Let's find out where all that came from really quick.
Yeah.
So Corey and David are just making fantasies, or it's part of the scenario that they had written for them, or if they are conniving in a conspiracy to destroy Gaia and me. That could be. They could have created a script, and part of it is, you know, being paranoid and think that people are killing you and all that. But I almost guarantee you that if we got Corey and David's laptops and looked out, there'd be no threats on them. Or if they were, they're from people that were just spurious.
In your opinion, that is, right? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think David and Corey are that important of people, actually.
No, and that's another thing, too. All of them played that game. They've done those things where they act like they're in imminent danger for telling you the information, but they've never, ever had one thing happen, right? You had that one time Emery Smith was in the hospital for something, and he tried to make it look like some dude had attacked him, but then it came out the truth was it was just some, like, routine thing that he just dressed up, right? You know.
Were the programs that were shown, were there scripts for these? Was there any, where did the information come from?
So David and Corey would create the content. David is, so the way it worked at Gaia is, if you're the producer, there's content producer and there's a technical producer. I am the technical producer, not the content producer.
Okay.
Well, he lists himself as a content producer, but senior director of content production. But then again, okay, we'll go with that.
Except when I do a show like Deep Space, then I'm content producer also. All right, because I created the scripts and everything. David and Corey would create the content. They would give it to me a week or two before. I would review it, and I would...
Hold up.
Do a show like Deep Space, then I'm content producer also. All right, because I created the scripts and everything. David and Corey would create the content. David and Corey would create the content. Give it to me a week or two before. I would review it, and I would go have a conference with them. Then I would approve it, and then they would come in and shoot. But they always came up with the content, always, and it was.
It translated it as ganja instead of content. He says content here, not ganja. Auto translates messed up.
I'm just going to say this right now because I want to clear the air on this one too.
Okay, this is important. I'm going to mute it. This is important.
And I really don't mean to get Emery Smith in any trouble.
No, you should, because Emery Smith is another just bold-faced liar ripping people off so he can get their money. So it's okay. This is good. This is a good thing.
But Emery Smith told me and several other people that David Wilcock told him in late 2018 that he and Corey had been making it all up for at least a year to a year and a half. I say to you, to everybody, if they're going to make it up in all of 2018, then they're making it up for 2017, 2016, 2015. That's how I feel.
So you guys know that I've told you that they've made it up the entire time, that David did, and I showed you. If you recall my Red Pill to Pay the Bills episodes on David, he would tell stories back, 20 years ago that completely changed 2, 3, 4 years later. Then those would change 2, 3, 4 years later. And he, all of the different like trending scams, trending lies, predictions that didn't come true, he would grasp from those predictions and kind of shake them up 2, 3 years later to try to use to make something else work. And that's how I've sat and told you that, yes, they are making it up. And now we have testimony from, you know, a guy that basically made these guys and got them out to you, found them and put them out on a network to where you could find them. And his testimony is that he's been, they completely admit to it behind closed doors that they're making it up and that they're lying. Listen one more time. This is very important.
Would review it, and I would go have a conference with them, then I would approve it, and then they would come in and shoot. But they always came up with the content, always. And it was, I'm just going to say this right now because I want to clear the air on this one too, and I really don't mean to get Emery Smith in any trouble, but Emery Smith told me and several other people that David Wilcock told him in late 2018 that he and Corey had been making it all up for at least a year or two.
Now, this is, if you've ever heard the story from David and Corey, Corey will tell you up to months ago, or 3-4 months ago, Corey will tell people, he'll tell Third Phase of Moon and the other people that push him out there and act like he's the biggest freaking thing ever. He will say to them that he doesn't have evidence because the government took it away. So all you can do is take his word on it. Well, now we literally have a whistleblower from inside of Corey's own production and David's that are saying that they 100% made it all up themselves. That is why Jordan Sather also has made it up himself. That is why these guys have this reputation. They have made it up. You can go and find errors in their content. You can find blatant lies in what they do. You can bust them on fake information over and over and over again, and people will still say, maybe they didn't know that that information was fake. Maybe that piece is fake. No, it's all fake. This is their MO. And now we literally have whistleblowers coming out and saying it's been fake the entire time.
2.5 years. I say to you and to everybody, if they're going to make it up in all of 2018, then they're making it up for 2017, 2016, 2015. That's how I feel. Once lied to, they're always going to lie to you. Why are you making it up, right? What? You're making it up because you haven't got anything.
Yeah,
it's so obvious now in retrospect. So it was a carefully contrived con by Corey and possibly David.
No, definitely David.
To get Gaia to hire him so that he can become a cult leader. And
that's what he is now, as a cult leader. So yeah, but when he did it, it wasn't necessarily to become a cult leader, but I'm sure he's fine with that. Whatever he has to do so that he doesn't have to go work and make his money doing like anything that involves talent, that involves work, that involves, you know, trying, whatever he can do to sit on his ass all day, have a bunch of people swoon at him, and to make a bunch of money. That's what this cult thing does. That's why when you find other people on YouTube that try to come out and expose Corey Goode and David Wilcock, and they themselves have hours and hours and hours of video of themselves admitting that they want to be a cult leader, they want to cultivate this, they want to do... That's why you shouldn't trust those people either. People with those kind of desires will say anything at any time as long as it'll start getting them attention and take them to the next level. That's what they do.
We're going to go into this where his college education is about how to become a cult leader. He couldn't get a job because the job he had before Gaia, he was working IT, and they put a restraining order on him. And
there you go. And I told you that about Corey Goode. He was working IT, ended up being unable to work ever again in the field for whatever reason. I forget what the reason was back then that we'd heard that, but that came out on this channel like maybe 8 or 10 or 12 months ago also, that Corey Goode is an IT guy who basically, you know, doesn't want to work or can't work anymore, and so he made this story up, approached people that he knew, and did this.
For what appears to be violence. So he appeared to... I want to talk about that.
So either Jay Weidner watches my show, or Jay Weidner has saw that the other people that have talked about it, you know, Corey Goode's past, or he was literally told by Corey Goode that he was an IT guy before all this. Which is it? You can go back and find people that broke the story that he's an IT guy. We finally know who he is, where he came from, the high school he went to, and what he did. You know, And then now we've got more corroborating evidence on all that. Or you can believe him that at the age of 12 and at the age of 18, he was stolen away from school. And Corey responded saying something like, no, I wasn't an IT guy. These guys are making that up to make me look bad. That's just the job the government said I was doing so they could take me on these secret programs and give me superpowers and meet all the aliens. That's literally Corey Goode's. So you got to either believe that Corey Goode was traveling around meeting aliens, time traveling, having his age reduced, and doing all these crazy things, or you could believe what a lot of people found out doing real investigative work, that he's an IT guy who basically sucked at his job and acted like a fool and now can't be an IT guy anymore. And he doesn't want to go, instead of making $20 or $22 an hour being an IT guy, he doesn't want to go down to making 10 or 12 doing some other job. He wants to make 10 or 12, $1,000 a month lying to people about what he's experienced.
Just 1 second, because it's very important. If you read that restraining order, it seems like they're afraid of Corey. Now, I've worked with Corey, and I can tell you should be afraid. Corey has an aura of violence around him, and I'm sorry, he does. And he will tell you that he likes to kick people's ass in. So he doesn't hide it at all. And so Corey claims that his former company, he asked to have his office stuff returned, and they said no. And then one day he woke up and found it all on his driveway in his lawn, all of his office stuff that was in his office. And everyone, oh, that's such a BS story. I don't believe that story. Well, actually, I do believe it. I believe Corey in this instance. Because I'll tell you what, that's what I think happened. And I think they did throw it on the driveway. They're not helping you at all, and they're not helping the community. They're destroying the community. So that's basically, right,
here comes another timestamp. Ooh, here it comes.
I suppose I could go on with other things, but as far as my personal involvement, I just want to say one last thing, and that is that in May of 2016, Corey's narrative changed. He'd been going from August of 2015 till April of 2016 with his secret space narrative, that he was in the secret space program, but he was clearly running out of material. And what's interesting about the rest of this part of the story is that I had finished my feature film, The Last Avatar, and we had put it up in April of 2016 on Gaia. Gaia bought it, naturally, because that kind of woo-woo movie. And so in April 2016, The Last Avatar went up on Gaia. In May 2016, Corey and David came in to do a shoot. And this is where the gigantic crossroads of the narrative happened. Suddenly, Corey was no longer talking about the secret space program and his adventures fighting aliens. Suddenly, out of the blue, and what's really funny about this is the guy that was doing the actual switching, the cameras, sitting in the booth, he was my chief assistant on The Last Avatar. I hired him because he was so good on The Last Avatar to come work at Gaia for me, right? And so he was sitting there, and I don't want to say his name because he's a nice guy, but he's sitting there switching, and I'm sitting there listening, and the show's starting up, and they're starting our narrative, and Corey starts telling a story about how a beautiful priestess from the underground takes him into the underground and initiates him through a series of rituals into the mysteries. Folks, that is the plot of my movie, The Last Avatar.
Basically, it's now completely exposed. I'm going to go ahead and end it here, and not the show, but I'm going to end the first part of this. This is the Jay Weidner Show with Reality Check, Episode 1, Weidner and Groovy Bean. Go check it out. Go watch more. I'm going to play a couple more clips in a few minutes. But, I mean, if you don't have enough now to kind of... If you've been somebody that has donated to Corey Goode, Jordan Zather, or Emery Smith, or David Wilcock, somebody that follows them and supports them, you need to stand up and ask them, why in the world have they done this to you? Now, it's not your fault for buying into it. Of course, they've used every dirty trick they can to woo people into believing what they say. But what they do is descend upon fictional work and mix it with, claims and reports from people, real whistleblowers or real witnesses. Then they add in their fake whistleblower, fake witnesses, and, delude the fictional with the non-fictional until they've got something better than every other thing out there. So if you go and you listen to Norio, I don't want to say his last name because I'll get it wrong, but he's a famous UFO researcher. He's going to tell you a lot of factual things, a lot of things he can back up. Maybe not be able to say that it's real, but be able to say that a witness testified this in 1959. And you're going to hear all these stories that Norio isn't going to schmooze and rip apart and add things to, and you're going to get this base story. So if you take Norio's stuff and you've got all the fanciful added to it, and you're witnessing Norio and you're witnessing Corey Goode, Jordan, and them, you're going to say, wow, I'm watching these guys more because they're telling me that all the bad guys are going to get arrested, along with the fact that UFOs are real and aliens are piloting things, and we're meeting. And so you're going to go with their content. That's their tactic. They look at YouTube. They see what other people are willing to say, what they're willing to report, because most other people are going to try to pull things factually and be able to report something from a real place. They're not just going to make things up for you because it's easy for people to get busted when they're doing that. You know, they're going to get called out. They're going to get exposed for making it up, just like these guys have been the whole time. It's just at the level of virality that was propelling Corey and David, combined with the fact that the History Channel picked up David and put him on Ancient Aliens, where they kind of wrangled him down and was like, dude, you're going to have to stay at least somewhat in the realm of reality on this show. You know, you start to notice that that's what they've done, and that's how they get you. And you need to step up, and the viewers are what give them the power. The people that fund them, the people that watch them. It is now, you have more evidence now, more real, factual, provable evidence that these guys are con artists that have lied to you over the last X amount of years to get your money than anything they have to prove their claims. I would think you need to start standing up for yourself if you've been a supporter of them in the past. Even if you haven't supported them in the last year and you stopped a year ago or 2 years ago. They shouldn't be able to do this. You know, the videos that come out that expose these guys, if we don't like those videos and share those videos and get them out to more people and try to get them into forums and into groups where they talk about these guys and actually get more people to wake up to the truth here, they're never going to succeed. Those videos are always going to stay a couple thousand views or 10,000 or 20,000 views. And when these guys are using dubious techniques like botting, sub-botting, buying views, advertising, using big companies, paying other channels to say good things about them. When they're willing to use these nefarious techniques, it's going to take their crazy claims and always propel them up so that the people who aren't willing to do those dirty tactics, the videos that expose them are always going to be surface level and they're never going to break through. Hopefully, sometime, a video that exposes these guys will break through. A lot of people will see it. Maybe the true maybe even a media story will finally come out, like from Ben Collins or somebody who busts like scammers. You know, like Ben Collins has busted Jordan Sather before. I don't know why Ben won't go to the realm of this and bust it, because now this is bigger than the Q stuff that Ben Collins busted Jordan on in his articles. You know, so maybe Ben, knowing that Jordan's ripping more people off with SSP than he is with Q now, maybe we'll get some articles out there. Maybe, you know, there has to be something that will happen that can actually get the truth out. Because if these guys are, another part of this too, why doesn't Corey Goode's video actually have Corey talking about what Jay is saying? Corey's option is to put up an old video of Jay saying good things about him instead of commentating and responding to all the things that Jay said. Why isn't Corey responding? David, Jordan Sather, why aren't they? They only are visible publicly and verbally when it comes to pushing propaganda on you. They're not honest. They're not reporters. This should be Jordan Sather's biggest story of the month. He should be angry that David Wilcock and Corey Goode are being exposed for what they really are. And since he's backed them this entire time, since he's backed them for a year and a half and got more people invested in them, he should be wanting to defend his friends and talk about it and countered Jay's claims. But Jordan knows he can't counter these claims, so he's instead going to ignore it, you know. It should be that the audience of these guys demand them to cover this. For God's sakes, I'm not even those guys. I don't even cover the stuff that Corey, David, and Jordan cover, and my audience is willing to demand that I react to this. We got to get people invested in getting the damn reality out there. They are con artists. I've told you this for years about these guys, because there's even without Jay's, addition here, even without his side of the story, there is enough evidence to prove that they are con artists and that they are not what they say they are. But adding this on, taking one of their freaking producers of the show that made him viral, we wouldn't even have Jordan Sather in front of us if it wasn't for Jay Weidner. Because if Jay wouldn't have propelled Wilcock up, Wilcock wouldn't have been able to put Jordan up. I don't think Jay realizes the amount of damage he did doing this. I'm just kidding, Jay. No, I'm really happy that Jay did this, honestly. This is the kind of thing that might actually put a dent in these guys. I could stand up and show you the truth for a year. It's not going to help anything, because who the fuck am I? I'm just a YouTuber. Other YouTubers can try, but they're just YouTubers. When you've got somebody that literally made their career stand up and say, these guys are liars, they're con artists, they literally are stealing from other people out on the internet and repackaging it to make it look better because they're lying, that's some good shit. I'm just really happy about this. Okay, let's get this recalibrated. How long we've been live? Okay, we got a little more time. Let's skip through the end and then let's get out of here.
The landslide that he had been doing it behind the scenes. We have to assume that Kelly's wrong, but that there were task forces going before she arrived and going after she arrived. They didn't just start with her arrival. She just thinks, because that's a natural consequence of when you first join an organization. You think everything just started right then. But I contend that the task forces were going much earlier than fall of 2018. They were going a year or even earlier.
Fall of 2016.
Yep, and they were targeting anyone who got in the way. And what happened with Jason Rice, it was just the landslide, that he had been doing it a lot. But when he did it with Jason Rice, it kind of became apparent to everybody that who was really doing it. Before that, it was like, is this a conspiracy? Is this really going on? Am I just imagining this? Is this, am I crazy? Because it looks to me like there's one force behind all of this, going and doing all of this. And, I was a lone wolf. I think you probably we didn't know each other, but I think you were probably one of the only other people that kind of suspected that that there was one force behind all of these weird things going on. And I knew it, but everybody just thought Jay was just, usual paranoid Jay. And it wasn't until Kelly Farmer, or CW, released Kelly Farmer's screenshots that I felt vindicated and felt like I should come through.
Ooh, he's talking about the secret troll group here.
Because it has now been proven to me beyond any shadow of a doubt, we have a criminal conspiracy going on here, one that probably has destroyed many lives up until now. I only know a few, me, Emery, you, but who knows if we ever get those Facebook posts, what we're really going to find. And so that's it. That's pretty much all I have to say about my involvement with Corey, except that I am devoted to spending the rest of my days straightening this out.
Okay. All right. Well, shit. That's what I'm talking about, man. Hopefully I can get Jay to come talk here. I'd love to have him on and pick his brain a little bit, just to kind of ask him, maybe ask him what he thinks about, like, I did a lot of work to debunk Jordan when I first found Jordan. And show Jordan all the fake news he was putting out. And also with David, I've sent things to David, but God knows if he saw anything. I know Jordan did. I'd like to have Jay's, I'd like to know what Jay heard from those guys as when it came to them talking about the people that were debunking them over the last couple years. And I'd also like to pick his brain about some, like, individual things that have happened. Anyway, we're at the end of the show. What do you guys think? I'm going to go to the live chat and hear what you have to say. Do me a solid. Make sure you subscribe here. It helps me out. Make sure you hit the like button and the share button, because this needs to get out there. My mods have been dropping the link to Jay's video, but you can find it easy just by searching his YouTube channel. It'll come right up, and you can see the interview for yourself and watch the whole thing. If you like what I do, you could consider a PayPal or a super chat. www.paypal.me/UNIRock. But I'm not going to tell you that there's all these crazy secret things happening out there. I'm just going to use the money to continue doing shows for you. That's all we do with donations around here. Thank you to people that did donate earlier. I really appreciate all of you. So let's go to the live chat. Let's let you guys weigh in and see if you have anything you want to add to this. And let's see. I want to make sure I didn't miss anything here. I've got more. I got a little more I could go into, but I wanted to kind of like... I thought about playing this, which was put up on Corey Goode's channel, about Jay Weidner breaks his silence on Corey, and maybe kind of weigh in a little bit, because basically, like I said at the beginning of the show, Corey Goode just uploads an old video of Jay saying good things about Corey from 2017, and, you know, titles it with something similar to Jay exposing Corey, just to kind of get his viewers from finding the actual video where he comes out very dirty. Corey Goode, you should stand up and apologize to the world and actually try to fix what you've done. But, you know, then again, I know we all have to pay for our sins on the day that we die and are judged, and that's my opinion. So, you know, you can keep on doing this until the end of time if you want. You know, we all have to deal with the things we do later down the line, you know, to the big man upstairs. So whatever. But let's hear what you've got. This is what should be the final nail in the propagandistic and you know, complete bullshit coffin for the story of David Wilcock and Corey Goode and Emery Smith and Jordan Sather. It should be the thing that gives all of their followers the last thing that they would need to stop supporting them until these guys are willing to speak the truth. I'm not up here like Jordan sitting here telling you that Jordan's lying for no reason at all. I'm telling you that because it's proven. I'm not telling you this about David because I don't like David. I did like David. I'm saying it because David has done literally, he's like he will cut anyone down if it'll get him 3 more followers, if it'll get him 3 more donations. He doesn't care who he steps on. He just cares that you're going to keep watching his stuff, getting the ad revenue, and donating. It's ridiculous. The longer that this type of stuff can be fostered on social media and YouTube with people buying into it and believing it, the more these scammers are going to keep doing this. People need to stand up. Okay, live chat time. Let's go. Then again, some people are starting to think that there is always going to be suckers. It's been this way since the beginning of time. You got people that are willing to question things and not willing to take giant leaps of faith in order to believe somebody who is telling a fantastic story. And then you've got people out there who are willing to do it and who literally fall for it every time and then run around and spread their fake stories and their craziness. The saddest thing, the thing that's the most egregious about all these guys, in my opinion, to start this off, give you my comment before I read your comments. Make sure you tag me by typing UNIRock if you want me to read what you say. I'm going to say this. The fact that David, Corey, and Jordan especially, do nothing but sit there and say, I'm telling the truth. This is the truth. We are truthers. If other truthers are attacking me, truth. It's just so fucking pathetic that's the way that they, that's the word they use to describe their content. Who would have thought? All right, let's see what you guys got, and then I'm gonna get out of here. I got some other stuff to do. So, anytime, Groovy, and I still want to get you in to talk sometime. I just moved studios and have been really busy, so hopefully we can get you on too. Great interview, by the way, Groovy. Great interview. If you have Groovy, if you have this up on your channel too, you're welcome to drop the link. If you want, you can send me the link, or I'll see if I can find it or something. If you want me to put it in the About section, I'll hook you up. So, I didn't know. I just saw it on Jay's channel. It was sent in to me. So, who was the other dark journalist? I don't know. I only know of one. So, Leroy says, so all alien stuff is BS. No, that's not true at all. I'm actually, a lot of my early videos on my main channel were compilations of UFO sightings recorded by people that you couldn't debunk, that you couldn't put into Photoshop or a video editor and prove that they were created. You know, what I'm saying is there are so many sightings out there, and there's so many stories of all these things. You can't say that it's BS. We don't know. We don't know what it is that is responsible for the sightings we see in the sky, the strange things, aerial phenomena, military planes, aliens. God knows what it is. No one really can tell you. That's why it is a mystery. And one thing's for sure, these guys stand up and say, no, we can tell you what it is. We know, but they can't prove it. And they've been busted now lying. So more than just this last interview. So does it mean that the thing is there are so many great, I mean, just great people that have done, look at Norio. You know, let me show you. I did an interview with Norio, one of my favorite interviews I've ever done. And he's the type of guy who has done an entire lifetime, because his mother, actually, he told the story of him and his mother. Oh, we got a dono. Great show as always from, oh, Granny. Thank you, Granny. Really appreciate you. Let me see if I can get it to come up, my interview with him. It's going to show me all the freaking other stuff. I don't know how to spell his last name. Hayakawa. I always say his last name wrong. So this is Norio Hayakawa, and you should really listen to him sometime. Is that really his YouTube channel? I didn't know he had one. You should really sit down and listen to Norio. He's really, really good. And he does, he actually tries his best to source and vet things, and he doesn't go off into crazy town. Now, I can't say I've listened to him in the last year or two. Back when I interviewed him, he came in and gave such a good presentation. And it's hard to walk away from what he tells you and not think that there is some mystery behind it or a cover-up or something. Because he's got all these really, like, great points. All these things pulled from the last, like, 70 years. All these sightings. All these well-documented. I mean, he's a real journalist. He's not just some guy running around trying to convince people of the most extreme thing to get money. Norio is somebody that would be doing it regardless of how big of a presence that he has. And he's a regular on Ancient Aliens, but he's one of the more, you know, logical people that were presented there. He's just great. So for someone that would say, does that mean all the stuff about UFOs is just BS? No. It just means that, you know, whether you're finding something that is sourceable and checkable or whether you find something fake, it takes a lot of work to be able to tell which. That's why you should find a YouTuber out there who's not just willing to show you one side. Find YouTubers that'll show you why something looks real and then why it doesn't. You know, you get where I'm coming from? I think you do. Thanks, Derek. No, appreciate it. Okay. I need more magenta pills, says Merc on Merc. Don't worry. I got you. Oh, I'm working. I'm working on it. Really good live dive, Uni. Thanks, man. Enjoyed it from 78. Well, thank you, and thank you for being a member. I really appreciate it. Voodoo People says, hey, strangers. And Voodoo, thanks for being a member here. Really, being a member here really does help me continue producing because UNIRock 2 does not make ad revenue. You know that. Doesn't make that much ad revenue. So you guys being members, that's what gets us by. So thank you so much. And the donations, of course, but thanking the members right now. I've been thanking the donators. Jacob says there's more to the story that hasn't been put together. It's part of a larger pattern that DW has been caught up in for a while. David Wilcock. Oh, yeah. Oh, I've went back and shown David Wilcock's older behavior. From his first website claiming that he's Edgar Casey, the reincarnated Edgar Casey, to, you know, the things he tried to say about the new millennia in 99 to 2012 and into the world and trying to combine, you know, mass arrest back in 2008 or 7, I believe, and then trying to make it go viral again in 2011 and 12 and not really being able to make it go viral until Jordan Sather carries on the mass arrest sealed indictment BS that David Wilcock. It's just funny because we know Sather and David Wilcock are affiliated with each other. They both admit it. And then everything that Jordan pushes out onto people is a thing that when it comes to the space part of it that David Wilcock has pushed in the past. So anyway, you get what I'm saying. So, okay. Well, thank you, Aethys. I really do appreciate it. Jay claims he was forced by his boss to do the talk about Corey in 2017. Corey threatened to resign otherwise. Well, all I know is this. Like I said at the beginning, Jay isn't working for Gaia now, and he was working for Gaia then. Do we believe Jay now, or do we believe Jay then when he was getting paid? What do we believe? What I'm telling you is, I don't really see a good reason for Jay to even give a shit. He's not going to make money for doing this, right? And I do think he's being as honest as he can. Is there more I think he could tell? Maybe there is, but maybe he's just not like thought about it yet. I'm sure more is going to come to him as it goes on. I always say this, take it with a grain of salt. We know that Gaia and David Wilcock separated ways. And we know that David and Corey started to attack Gaia personnel and create, troll groups to harass them. So I've said that there is a reason for Gaia employees to come out and try to make, David and Corey look bad. But for whatever it is, though, you can kind of back up a lot of things they're saying. Take what Jay said and then go back and watch the old show. Go back and watch the earlier recordings. Go back and listen to Corey's narrative change from back then to now. Go watch some of the videos that expose Corey Goode without Jay being involved. I don't think Jay has sat down and watched every Corey exposed video that's ever existed. But he just corroborated a lot of the information that's came out in the last few years against Corey and David and Jordan. So I do think that it's at least worth listening to, in my opinion. All right, guys. www.paypal.me/UNIRock. It really helps us continue our show. Make sure you subscribe and hit the like button. As always, with any developments around this story, around the other scammers out there on YouTube pushing, craziness, I'm going to bring you, along with, some interesting news stories and stuff that I find at night on my live nightly show, UNIRock Live, which is typically happens at around 9 or 10 p.m. Eastern Time. I did go live earlier today. I'll probably start going live earlier. I've been uploading to the channel UNIRock Archive. If you like what I do and can't donate, you could really support us by hitting the like button and subscribing to all three of our channels, especially UNIRock 2 and UNIRock Review. I named the UNIRock Archive, changed the name to UNIRock Review. For the people that join my channel, I'm going to be talking to you guys in Discord this weekend on Sunday, and we're going to do a member-only live stream on this channel Sunday during the day. So if you want to be present for that, make sure you're a member of my Discord. I put the link out in a member-only post on my community tab all the time. So if you need to join it, just keep an eye on it. It'll be there this weekend. Hope to see you guys there. We're going to jump into a voice room and have a giant audio conversation. If you want to talk to me, if there's something you want to ask me about, or if there's somebody you want to have on the show, you do not have to be a donator to come to the member-only live stream or the live chat. I just make it priority available for the donators, but anyone can come. So if you want to talk, just let me know. Email me, unirocktv@gmail.com. But make sure in the carbon copy slot you put unirockersunite@gmail.com. My email is flooded right now. I probably got 500 emails in the last 4 days. So I'm trying my best to catch up with old emails, hit new emails, and get everything out there. One more time, let's hit the donations for the night on Super Chat. Thank you for the Super Chat. They help so much. Annie Nanny Granny says, great show as always. Nana of 7 says, you rock, UNIRock. No, you rock. Derek with the $1 and another $1. Appreciate all of it, you guys. It makes it handles the financial aspect of the show. So thank you. You guys have really helped out. All right, y'all. See you tonight. I uploaded a video yesterday that you really need to see. Check it out if you haven't seen it yet. Hit the like button, and I'll be back. Appreciate you. And as always, I'm not asking you to get my video out there. Just get the video out there to people that are being conned by these 4 people. David Wilcock, Jordan Sather, Emery Smith, and Corey Goode. They are taking in thousands of dollars per month, literally, to lie. I'm out.